the different problems of measurement when we are conducting any management research. These problems may be related to the respondent, the situation, the problems because of measurer and the instrument. These problems we have discussed. Also, we discussed the concept of reliability as well as validity. So now going ahead, we'll have to discuss about the different levels of measurement. So how that measurement is done, what are the different basic levels of measurements that we are now going to understand. First of all, we understand what is called as a level of measurement. So the level of measurement refers to the relationship among the values that are assigned to the attributes for a variable. So for different variables which we want to measure during a research, we assign certain values to the attributes of those variables or those objects. And while assigning that values to those objects based on certain attributes, we follow certain guidelines or certain rules. Those can be called as a level of measurements. There may be different set of rules for different levels of measurement. This level of measurement can also refer to the way that variable is measured, how we measure a particular variable based on different characteristic. So the way or the method or the different set of rules, guidelines can be called as level of measurement. There can be different levels of measurement that we'll understand now. Before that, we'll again have to understand what is a variable. Variable means it is a characteristic or number or quantity that increases or decreases. Variable means it varies, it changes over the time or takes different values in different situations. So a variable can be anything. It may be a characteristic, a number, or a quantity. So that changes the values as per the situations or at a different time. So going towards the different levels of measurement, we have four main levels of measurement, which are called as nominal level, then ordinal level, interval level, and ratio level. These are the four main levels of measurement. We will discuss these measurement levels one by one. The first and most basic level of measurement is your nominal measurement. Nominal measurement means at this level, variables are simply named on the basis of their characteristic or attribute, and ranking is not there. Here we do not rank the variables. Just give me a second. So this nominal level, that means it is a very basic level wherein we simply name the different variables. We may take the example of gender, male or female. So here we have just named the different variables that may be assigned particular number, maybe 1 to male and 2 number for female, but that doesn't represent something is higher or lower. It doesn't have any meaning. That is just given as a label. So this type of variables wherein we just name the variables is called as nominal level of measurement, and this is a qualitative. These variables are generally qualitative in nature. So the gender is a qualitative type of variable wherein we are just giving a name to a particular variable. Are you understanding this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This nominal level, we have to understand that it is important feature of feature that there is no hierarchy or no ranking. As I said, there is no ranking or there is no hierarchy. It is not that something is higher or lower. It is just label given to particular variable. So for instance, as I said, male are not ranked higher than females and vice versa. There is no order or rank. Just different labels are given to the different variables. There may be other examples of this type of variables, that is religion, marital status, and race. Then nominal variables can be also called as categorical variables. So nominal variables, which are also called as categorical variables, they are the basic level of measurement wherein we simply label the variables. These are called as nominal level of measurement. We took the example like gender, religion, marital status, race. All these are the example of nominal level of measurement. Then the second level of measurement, which is called as ordinal level of measurement. Ordinal itself, you will understand that it suggests order. So in this level you will see that variables are ranked or ordered. We take the example of social class or status. So there may be three classes: upper class, lower class, upper class, middle class, lower class. These are ranked or order. Certain order is given or certain ranks are given, A, B, C or 1, 2, 3. So this order is given. However, we do not know the distance between the order. For example, if upper class is given rank 1, middle class is given rank 2, lower class is given rank 3. However, we do not know what is the difference or the distance between these two or these two. We do not know how much difference of income or difference of status, what is there between this upper class and middle class, as well as in middle class and lower class. So the distance is not known. However, they are ranked. So hierarchy or rank or order is followed in ordinal level of measurement. Then another measurement level is interval measurement. Interval measurement, that means we measure the intervals between the two categories or two variables. So when a distance between attributes has some meaning, that type of variable is called as interval type of measurement. We take the example of temperature. If we are measuring any temperature in, for example, Fahrenheit, distance from 30 to 40 is same as distance between 70 and 80. So the distance between the categories or distance between the variables will be the same. Distance will be same, intervals will be same. However, we will not be able to calculate any ratio. Any ratios will not have any sense. If we say that 80 degrees is twice as 40 degrees, so it is not possible. 40 degrees Celsius, twice of 40 degrees Celsius is not 80 degrees. So 80 degrees is not twice as hot as 40 degrees. So that the ratios do not make any sense in case of interval measurement. So interval measurement, here we have to understand that there are intervals, distances between the different measurements or different parameters, the distance will be same. However, we will not be able to calculate any ratios over that type of interval data. Are you getting now? The ordinal level and interval level.
Yes, sir.
One more level of measurement is your ratio measurement. So ratio measurement is the measurement type wherein we can do all type of mathematical operations. All ratios are possible on this type of ratio data. So in that you will see that it has absolute zero, that is meaningful. In ratio measurement scale, you will see that there is absolute zero is present. Do you know what is meaning of absolute zero? Can anybody tell me the meaning of absolute zero? Pallavi?
Sorry, sir, I don't know.
Okay. So absolute zero means that zero is meaningful. Zero means zero, nothing. Isn't it? So that zero is present in ratio measurement. Absolute zero, that means it is the lowest. It is the lowest value in that particular scale. That is called as absolute zero. You may take the example. For example, weight. Zero weight means it is the lowest. Are you getting? Zero weight means it is lowest.
Yes.
Can you go beyond zero?
No, sir.
Huh.
No, sir.
Can there be -5 weight? -5 kilogram? It is not there. Zero is the minimum. So that zero has the meaning. So zero has the meaning of minimum here. Zero is absolute zero in this case when we are calculating any weight. You take another example of temperature. In case of temperature, if we say that zero temperature, is it the lowest?
No, sir.
You can go beyond zero. You can have -5 degree, you can have -10 degrees. It is not the lowest. So that zero in case of temperature doesn't have any meaning. It is not the absolute zero. It is not the lowest possible value in case of temperature. Therefore, in the ratio measurement, you will see that there is absolute zero is present. So below zero, you cannot go. You take the example of weight. Zero is the lowest. So that is the meaning of absolute zero here. So zero here has the meaning. So in the ratio scale, you will see that absolute zero is present and that zero has a meaning. In ratio measurement, you can construct meaningful ratios, fractions. For example, if you take example of number of clients visited in past 6 months. In past 6 months, how many clients you have visited? It can be a ratio measurement. We can say that we had twice as many clients in this period as we did in the previous 6 months. So we can say that, for example, in last month we had visited 5 clients. So in this month, if we have visited 10 clients, we can absolutely say that we have visited twice as many as clients visited in the last month. So these type of ratios are always possible in case of ratio measurement, and absolute zero is present. Have you now understood what is the ratio measurement?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we saw 4 types of different levels of measurement: nominal level, ordinal level, interval level, and ratio level. As a summary, we'll see on this diagram Nominal levels is the basic level of measurement, wherein we can name the categories, where we can only name the categories or the variables. There is another type of variables. Just a second. There is another type of variable, that is ordinal variable, wherein you have named categories as well as you have order. Then third level of measurement is your interval measurement, wherein you can have named categories or named variables, you have order, as well as you can measure the distance between the different variables. So proportionate interval between the variables is possible. And then the fourth level of measurement is ratio scale, wherein it has all the characteristics, that is, it has named categories, it has order, it has proportionate intervals between variables, and it can also accommodate an absolute zero, and all types of mathematical operations are possible on the ratio scale. Is it understood to you all?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Before we go ahead, can anybody explain these 4 levels of measurement? Voluntarily. Akanksha, Simran.
So in nominal level, simply name is given and there is no ranking, and also it is a qualitative.
Correct.
And in ordinal level, it is in order, and the variables are given the ranks.
Correct.
In ratio level, there are all the mathematical operations, and also it includes the absolute zero.
Correct. So if this is understood, can we go ahead? If you still have any queries in these levels of measurement, we can discuss it once again. Do you have any query in these levels of measurements?
No, sir.
No.
Okay. So we'll move towards the different attitude scale techniques. How we measure the attitude in social sciences or in management research when we are trying to understand the attitude of people, attitude of respondents towards certain object or certain product. So how that attitude can be measured, that we learn in attitude scaling techniques. There are different scales or different scaling techniques which are available for measurement of attitude, that we'll have to learn. So before we understand attitude scaling techniques, can you tell me what is attitude? What is an attitude, Rohit?
Hello, sir.
Uh-huh.
Attitude means a behavior.
Okay. Okay, not a problem. So attitude is established way of thinking or feeling reflected in a person's behavior towards others. So it is correct. So it is behavior which is reflected by a person or an individual towards others or towards other objects, and this is because of the way of thinking or way of feeling. So that is called as an attitude in simple way. So attitude is a tendency to respond positively or negatively towards a certain idea, object, person, or situation. So it influences person's choice of action. So all his feelings, thoughts, his experiences, will influence a person's choice of action. How he behaves will be based on how he thinks, how he feels. It is what a person believes in or what a person feels. So then attitude scales. Now the word scale that has come from Latin word scala, that means ladder or flight of steps. So there are different levels or different ladders or different steps. So scaling is the procedure of meaning and assigning the objects to the numbers according to specified rules. So as per certain procedure, we allot certain numbers to the various variables or various characteristics as per specified rules. That is called as scales. There are different type of scales which are available for measurement. A scale, in another words, is a series of order steps or fixed intervals used as a standard of measurement. So for measurement, we have to have some certain standard of measurement against which we can measure any object. For example, if you want to measure any height of a person, you have to have a scale. So that is the standard scale against which you will measure the height of a person. So this scale is a standard. The scale represents a series of order steps or fixed intervals. If you see any scale, any measuring scale for measuring height, so there will be fixed intervals and it is standard everywhere. So the scale represents a series of order steps at fixed intervals used as a standard of measurement. So as a standard of measurement it is used, and the object or any characteristic which we want to measure, will compare that against the standard which we have set, and then we can measure the height or the any characteristic of particular object. Are you getting now?
Yes.
So it is
Yes, sir.
this is the concept of scale. So there can be different types of scales for measurement. So for attitude measurement scales are attitude measurement also there are different types of scales that we are going to learn. What different types of scales are available, what different types of standard scales are available for measurement of attitude of people. So an attitude scale is a special type of questionnaire designed to produce scores indicating the intensity and direction for or against of a person's feelings about an object or event. So for example, if we want to measure an attitude of a person, that may be for or against, that may be positive or negative feeling of a person. So that can be measured by using certain type of questionnaire, wherein that questionnaire will produce certain scores, and these scores which are being produced, that will indicate the intensity and direction of the particular feeling or particular attitude. Intensity means the strength, how much strong that desire is, and the direction, whether it is positive or negative. So that is a attitude scale. Is it understood?
Yes, sir.
So we'll start discussing different attitude measurement scales which are available for measuring attitude of people. The first attitude measurement scale we have is Likert scale. This Likert name has come from the developer of this scale, which is Rensis Likert, who has developed this scale, and therefore the name is given Likert scale. So this Likert scale is a scale used to measure the attitude, wherein the respondents are asked to indicate the level of agreement or disagreement with the statements related to the stimulus objects. So related to particular object for which we want to understand the attitude of a person, we will present few statements to the respondent, and we will ask to indicate the level of agreement or disagreement of respondent on the basis of those statements. So that type of scale we can call it as a Likert scale. There are typically the 5 response categories ranging from strongly agree to strongly disagree. So there can be various categories or various levels in which we take the response of the respondent. There may be 5-point Likert scale, wherein we have 5 categories from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Scale can be 1 to 3, so 3-point scale, 1 to 5, that is 5-point scale, or we can have 7-point scale also in Likert scale. The main purpose of Likert scale is to identify the attitude of people towards the given stimulus object by asking them to extent to which they agree or disagree with them. So certain statements are being presented to the respondents, or they are asked to represent their opinion in the categories ranging from 5-point scale to 7-point scale or 3-point scale, wherein the categories may be strongly disagree to strongly agree. So depending upon how much point scale it is, we have to have different categories of or the levels in which we want to have the answer of the respondent. We'll take the example so that it will be more clear to you. This is an example of Likert scale, of 5-point Likert scale, wherein we have the categories from 1 to 5. So in this Likert scale, the example number 1, there is a statement, please rate the importance of the communication skills. So we are asking the respondent to rate his importance of communication skills, how much importance he gives to communication skills. So the options are not applicable, not very important, somewhat important, important, and very important. So in this scale, 1 is the minimum. So we have given weights from 1 to 5. 1 is not applicable, 2 is not very important, 3 is given to somewhat important, 4 is important, and 5 is highest, that is very important. So like that we can assign values or we can assign weights to different responses which we want to take from the respondent. There is another statement on which we can have the responses from respondent. The statement is, I like BRM book by Das publication. So that is a statement, and for which we want to take response from the respondent. The categories are A to E, 5-point scale again, but having different options. A is strongly agree, B is agree, C is neutral, D is disagree, and E is strongly disagree. So between strongly agree to strongly disagree, we have 3 more categories, as it is 5 points Likert scale. We have B, that is agree, C is neutral, and D is disagree. So like that we design a Likert scale wherein we have statements, and based on these statements we want to take the responses from the respondents on 5-point, 3-point, or 7-point Likert scale, and the categories are designed based on the scale or the options which are desired for that particular question. Is the Likert scale understood to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there is second type of scale which is called as semantic differential scale. In semantic differential scales, you will see that there will be 2 poles. These poles will be exactly opposite to each other. These poles will have opposite characteristics, and it is a fixed scale of 7 points. So we'll take example so that it will be clear to you. So here we have an example wherein we have different variables or different characteristics which are being placed on the opposite poles of the scale, and these attributes are exactly opposite of each other. You can see here strong, weak, decisive, indecisive, good, bad, intelligent, dumb. So like that we have opposite poles and opposite characteristics are placed on the poles of the scale. That type of scale is called as semantic measurement scale, semantic differential scale. So in this we can see the weights are placed like this. 0 is there in the middle, 1, 2, 3, and here -1, -2, -3. So like that we place weight to the different responses of the respondent, and the opposite characteristics are placed on the opposite poles of the scale. This type of scale is called as semantic differential scale. So in this scale the respondent has to mark his scale based on his opinion, or here you can see the direction as well as the intensity of his opinion. So if he is for this second option, that is decisive, indecisive, if he marks here that is 2, so that that displays the direction, that is positive, negative, and then the intensity of that particular opinion. Going further, we have another scale, that is constant sum scale. So constant means same. So same sum of the scale. So what this means is respondents allocate constant sum of units such as 100 points to attributes of a product to reflect their importance. So in this scale, a respondent is offered 100 points and he is told to divide these 100 points to different attributes of a particular product as per the importance which that respondent gives to each of the attribute. So if an attribute is unimportant, respondent will assign 0 or minimum points to that particular attribute. If an attribute is twice important as some other attribute, he will receive 20 twice as many points, and the sum of all these points will be 100. So sum of all the points, he will ensure that it is 100. So these 100 points will be divided into different attributes as per the importance of that particular attribute as per the opinion of the respondent, and the sum of all the points is 100. Therefore the name of the scale is given, that is constant sum scale. We will take one example so that you will understand. Here we have taken one example of detergent. So importance of detergent attributes using a constant sum scale we have taken as an example. Here we have given different attributes to the respondent like price, fragrance, packaging, cleaning power, and lather. So all these are different attributes which are given to the respondent, and he is told to divide all these 100 points into all these attributes as per the importance he gives to the different attributes. So if he gives more importance to particular attribute, he will assign more points. If he gives less importance to some attribute, he will give less points to that particular attribute, but he will ensure that the sum of all the points need to be 100. So in these 5 response categories, this respondent has given 50 points to price. That means for a detergent, as per the respondent's opinion, he has given the maximum importance to the price. After the price, you will see that cleaning power he has given 30 points. So that means after the price, he has given more importance to cleaning power of the detergent. Then he has given 10 points to packaging. So that means he has given less importance to packaging of the detergent powder than the price and cleaning power. And the least importance he has given to the two attributes, that is fragrance and leather. Leather means the foam which the detergent creates. So as per the respondent's opinion, as he is told to divide the 100 points into the different attributes of a particular detergent, he has divided the points, 100 points, into these attributes as per the importance he gives to different attributes of a particular detergent powder. So as per the importance he has given in this example, he has given maximum importance to price, then after that cleaning powder, then to the packaging, and the least importance given to the fragrance and leather. Is it understood, this constant sum scale? Any query in the constant sum scale?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So we'll see another scale, that is graphic rating scale. So by name itself it suggests that some graphics will be used that will be displayed to the respondent, and on the basis of those graphics or those pictures which are shown to the respondent, he is told to mark a tick mark, circle, or shade a particular response. And this requires a very less time to develop this type of scales. It is very simple. Graphic rating scale, we'll take the example. So like this, in this example, you can see graphical representation of the responses which the researcher wants to take from the respondent. So here the response categories are shown by pictures. Are you able to see this picture?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So in the first picture, there is a face, a smiley face. In the second picture, you will see the neutral response, and in third picture, you will see dissatisfied or unhappy face. So through these response categories, the researcher wants to ask the respondents whether you are happy or neutral or unhappy with the particular attribute. So here the questions are asked: are you satisfied with after sales service provided by the company? So as per the opinion of the respondent, he may mark into any of the boxes as per his satisfaction level. If it is happy, he will mark here. If he is not happy, he will mark on the third box. And if he is neutral or is neither happy nor unhappy, he will mark in the neutral. Like that, there is second question: are you satisfied with the after sales quality of the product? So similar way, the respondent may mark his response as per his satisfaction level. So that is a graphic rating scale. Then next comes are your ranking scales. So here in ranking scales, the respondents are told to rank the different attributes based on the opinions of the respondents. What aspects of the product or service the respondent like best? If you have a certain question like this, what aspect of particular product or service the respondent like best? So in this case, you can use this type of ranking scales. The respondents will be provided with certain attributes or certain products, and they will be told to rank as per their opinion. So from that you can come to know what attributes or what aspect of that particular product the customers or the respondents likes the best. So here you will list the aspects, and respondents are told to rank the items. In surveys, respondents compare different items to each other by placing them in order of how they score rank at a specific aspect such as design, cost, functionality, importance. So if you want to take opinion of respondents on the basis of different attributes like design, cost, functionality, or importance, you will design this type of ranking scales wherein you will ask the respondent to rank these attributes. So the customers will rank these attributes by comparing each attribute with others. They will give rank or number as per their opinion. So upon with this most of the upon with the most important or preferred item ranked first or on the top of the list. So the attribute which is preferred most or which is liked most by the respondent, he will rank as a number 1 or it will be at the top of the list. We'll take an example of this ranking scale. Here you will see that there is a question, please rank the following features in order of importance. So what importance the respondent gives to different attributes, wherein 1 is the most important and 4 is least important. So they will give a rank. So here in this example, the respondent has given number 1 or the top priority or top preference to location, second preference to comfort, third preference to service, and fourth preference to value for money. So for a particular product or particular service wherein you want to understand what preference the customer gives to what attribute, these type of questions can be used, wherein the options or the attributes are provided to the customer and or the respondent, and he is told to rank those attributes as per the importance he gives to those attributes. Are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then we have paired comparison technique. Paired comparison means there is pair of attributes or pair of objects wherein we will compare those attributes or the objects in pair. So how that is done, that we'll see through an example. Is this visible to you all?
Yes, sir.
So in paired comparison technique, as the name suggests, in the paired comparison scaling, a respondent is presented a pair of objects. A pair of objects or stimulus or brands are being presented to the respondent, and the respondent is supposed to provide his or her preference of the object from a pair. So which is better from that pair, he has to give his preference. You can see this example in which we have taken different brands. These are the brands of different fans. Different brands maybe Polar, Usha, Bajaj, Khaitan. Here in this example we have taken 4 brands, and on the horizontal axis and the vertical axis we place these brands. Like in this you will see that on the horizontal axis we have placed this different brands Polar, Usha, Bajaj, Khaitan. On the vertical axis also we have placed the same brands Polar, Usha, Bajaj and Khaitan. So we have to compare all these brands in pair. Is Polar, Usha. Each brand on the horizontal plane will be compared with each brand on the vertical plane. Are you getting this? So this Polar brand will be compared with there cannot be the comparison of Polar with Polar because it is the same brand, but the Polar will be compared with Usha, Polar will be compared with Bajaj, Polar will be compared with Khaitan. Similarly, second brand Usha will be compared with Polar. Usha with Usha that comparison cannot be done Usha with Bajaj, Usha with Khetan. So like that, there will be paired comparison. Are you getting the meaning of paired comparison?
Yes.
Paired comparison
Yes.
means a pair of object or pair of brands is provided to the correspondents, and he is asked to give his opinion about which is the most preferable brand amongst those particular brands which are provided, pair of brands which is provided to that respondent. So here, when n number of items or objects or brands are involved in a study, here in this example we have 4 brands involved. A respondent has to make the number of decisions or number of comparisons, and that number of comparisons or number of decisions will be calculated by this formula. This formula is given n in bracket n minus 1 divided by 2. So in this example of having 4 brands, how many decisions the respondent has to take with this formula? Can you calculate?
So 16.
How many? How many? Can you be a little louder?
Say
Pallavi,
16.
how 16?
6.
6 is right. Who has given? Samir.
Yes, sir.
You are right. So 6 decisions or 6 comparison he has to make. So how that 6 comes, we'll see that with a diagram. So through this diagram, we will be more clear about this formula. So this is a paired comparison of 4 objects A, B, C, D. Is this visible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
in this example of 4 objects which are being provided, A, B, C, D. So the customer need to make pair of different brands, and he has to take the decision which is better. Like if you start from here, A will be compared with B. So AB, that is the first decision he has to make. Are you getting this?
Yes.
So first decision he has to make is AB. So that AB, AC, that is the second, and AD, that is the third, isn't it? Then going ahead, BC. So comparison of B with C, then BD, and then BA. So BA is not written here because AB, here the comparison of A and B is represented, isn't it? Then CD, comparison of C with D, that is being shown here, CD. Then CA, that is already there, CA, and CB, that is also there, CB, BC, isn't it? So that is why there are 6 different comparisons or 6 different decisions the respondent has to make when it comes to 4 objects. Have you got this example?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So we'll again discuss this. So in paired comparison technique, you will see that there will be different pairs of objects, pair of attributes or pair of brands will be provided to the respondent, and respondent is told to give his response or give his preference in the pairs. In a pair, which brand or which attribute he prefers more, that he has to indicate. So in this table, you will be able to see that there are different signs. So here the respondent has to mark his preference as a sign in this table. So plus sign indicates that the column brand is preferred over row brand. So here it is plus in this first row, second column, plus sign is there, which means that the column brand is preferred, means Usha is preferred over Polar. Here in this third column, first row, plus sign is there, which means that Bajaj is preferred over Polar. And the negative or the dash sign indicates that the row brand is preferred over the column brand. So in this third column and second row, here the dash or minus sign is there, which means that the row brand is preferred over the column brand. That means Usha is preferred over Bajaj. Are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
So like that, the respondent has to represent his opinion or his preference on the table, from where the preference of the people or the respondents will be calculated further. So that type of technique wherein the respondent or the attributes or the brands are provided to the respondent in pair is called as paired comparison technique. Have you understood the technique?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So another technique which is called as forced technique. Forced technique enables respondents to rank objects relative to one another among the alternatives provided. The respondent will be provided with fixed alternatives. This is easier for the respondents practically if the number of choices to be ranked is limited in number. So when number of attributes or number of responses choices to be marked or ranked are limited in nature, this type of forced ranking is used. And in forced ranking, what the respondent has to do is he has to rank his preference in the available attributes or available response categories only. We will take an example so that you will better understand. So here example is given. Rank the various brands of shampoo in order of preference. So here the respondent is given different options or different brands of shampoo, and he is told to rank all those shampoo brands in order of his preference. That is Sunsilk, Pantene, Garnier, Pert, Clinic Plus, Head and Shoulder. So he has to rank all these brands as per his preference or as per his perception. So this is forced ranking technique. So here the respondent is not provided any other option. If we provide one more option like any other brand or not applicable, if such kind of options are provided to the respondent, it will not be forced ranking. Forced ranking means the respondent is forced to select at least one or rank all those brands which are provided to the respondent. The respondent cannot rank any other brand which is not available in the categories given. He has to forcefully rank those brands only which are provided to him. Therefore, the ranking is called as forced ranking scale. Understood this?
Yes, sir.
Going ahead, we'll understand what is a questionnaire. So is it understood to you all till now? Whatever levels of measurement we have understood and different attitude scales also we have discussed. Is there any query in this so that we can go ahead? If you have query, we'll discuss again. Any query till now? No, no? So we'll go ahead and discuss about a questionnaire. What is a questionnaire that we'll understand first? questionnaire is a set of questions, or it is a research instrument consisting of series of questions and other prompts. Other prompts means other stimulus, may it be any other stimulus, any picture or any graphical method, graphics shown. So any questionnaire is a series of questions or any other prompts for the purpose of collecting data or information from the respondents. So that is a simple meaning of a questionnaire. So questionnaire is an instrument in social sciences or management research. Whenever we are conducting a research and we want to collect primary data, we use this type of instrument which is called as questionnaire. It is a series of questions which are used for the collection of information from the respondents. There may be different types of questionnaires. You will see that there are different types of questionnaires available for collecting the data from the respondents. Depending upon the type of research, we choose the different type of questionnaire for collection of information. So questionnaire can be of two major types. One is open-ended, another is close-ended. In close-ended, you will see that there are further categories like dichotomous questionnaire, multiple response questionnaires, or scales. So these are the different types of questionnaires. We'll discuss all these types in detail. In the types of questionnaires, the first type is your open-ended. Open-ended questions. That means the respondent is free to give his opinion in his own words, in his own language, and he describes his opinion. So that type of questions wherein the respondent is given freedom to give his opinion without providing him any option categories. That type of questions may be called as open-ended type questions. For example, here in this first example, we can say what is your age? Space is provided. What is your opinion about GST? Space is provided. Then third question, I like this hotel because some space is provided. So that means the respondent is free to describe his opinion in his own words. So that is a type of open-ended question types. Then we take the another category, that is closed-ended questionnaires. In closed-ended questionnaires, you will see that there are different types like dichotomous, multiple response, and scales. So first type is your dichotomous type. Dichotomous, that means two options. There may be yes no type questions like are you student? Yes, no. Do you like traveling? Yes, no. Access to the library without card? Permitted or forbidden? Allowed or not allowed? So wherein question is provided with two response options are called as dichotomous questions types. Are you getting this?
Hanji sir. Hanji. Yes sir.
Then second type is your multiple response questions, multiple choice. So multiple response type is a type of questions wherein the respondent are provided with different options, and the respondent has to mark one of the option which he prefers the most, or which he thinks as per his opinion is the right choice. First question here, an example of multiple response type questions. First question is name the department in which you are working. So 5 options are given: operations, facility, ERC, transport, HR. Second question, what is your position in the department? Trainee, supervisor, manager, or senior manager? Question number 3, since how long you are working with the company? less than 1 year, 1 to 3 years, more than 3 years. These are called as multiple response type questions, wherein multiple options are given to the respondent, and he is told to select a response category which he belongs to or which he feels is suitable. Are you getting this multiple response type questions?
Yes, sir.
Then next is scales. Another close-ended questionnaires, you will see that another type is scale. In type of scales, we have already discussed one type of scale, that is Likert scale. So in this question number 1, I feel because of training, task performance will enhance. So this is a question, and respondent is asked to select any of the category of the response, that is strongly agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. So this is 5-point Likert scale. Second question, how do you rate your competency in the work you perform? So respondent is provided with 5 response options, that is very high, high, neutral, low, and very low. So these are the types of questions when it comes to scale types. Likert scale we have taken as an example. So the respondent is provided with a question or statement, and he is told to give his response in 5 response categories, or 7 response categories, or 3 response categories. Is it understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Going ahead with the different methods or different methods of collection of data, that is 3 methods we have here for discussion, that is the personal interviews, the telephonic survey, and email or internet surveys, we can see. So through these 3 methods, we may use different types of questionnaires, maybe structured or unstructured questionnaires will be there for collection of primary data. We'll take first, that is the personal interview. Personal interview, that means visiting respondent or in-person interaction or in-person survey, wherein the researcher and respondent come together, and the researcher will collect the information first hand from the respondent in person, means physically being present with each other. The respondent may ask the respondent the structured or unstructured questions and mark his answers on that sheet of paper, or he may give this questionnaire to the respondent and he will tell the respondent to fill up that questionnaire. So that is a type of personal interview wherein we collect the primary data with the help of questionnaires. There may be certain advantages of personal interview type of this collection method. The advantages may be the first hand data will be received, the accuracy will be more, the researcher can observe his reactions, the researcher can observe the reaction of the person who is giving these answers. So even if the respondent is given a good answer or he is giving favorable answer, but his behavior or his body language may not reflect the same, so the researcher may understand the truth of the responses which the respondent is providing. So that is the benefit of personal interviews, and in personal interviews the researcher can have more control over the respondents. The disadvantage of personal interview may be the cost is very high. When we are conducting interviews, visiting the respondents, or uh, uh, taking the responses from the respondents in person, so that involves a lot of cost. Also, it is time taking. So these are the few disadvantages of personal type of interviews. Then we go to the second type of method, that is telephonic survey interviewing. Telephonic survey, that means that from the name itself it suggests telephonic survey means collecting the responses over the telephone. So the respondent will be called over the telephone in this method, and he will be asked different questions, different structured, unstructured questions will be asked to the respondent. The advantages of this telephonic survey method is that it is very easy to collect responses. By remaining at one place, the researcher can take responses of the people from different parts of the different places. It is cost effective method wherein very less cost is required. But the disadvantage of this telephonic survey method is that the response rate may be less. People may not respond the way the researcher wants. Researcher will have very less control over the respondents, and he may not be able to observe the reactions of the respondents. This may be the few disadvantages of telephonic survey method. Then the third type or third method is email or internet surveys. So these are the surveys which will be conducted on email. The questionnaire will be sent to the respondents on email or through Google Forms or the internet. So these questionnaires will be sent to the respondents, and respondents will be told to fill up those questionnaires online and send back. The advantage of this method of using this email or internet, whereas Google Forms, online methods, is that it is cost effective, it consumes less time of the researcher, cost saving, time saving. However, the main disadvantage of email and internet surveys is that it has very less response rates. You do not have any control over the respondents. Many times the respondents will avoid to fill up such types of surveys. So response rate will be very less. And then another disadvantage is that the researcher will not have any control over the respondents. Researcher will not be able to observe the reactions of the respondents. So these are the three methods of by using questionnaire methods we can collect data from respondents. Is it clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you have any queries, still you can ask me. So with this, your unit number 3 is over. Okay.
Okay, sir.
With this, your unit number 3 is over. If you still have any query, you can ask me. Do you have any query in this, whatever we have discussed today? We have discussed
No, sir.
different levels of measurement, different attitude measurement scales. We have discussed questionnaire, and we also have discussed few methods of how we can collect data by using different methods of data collection by using different type of questionnaires. So if you do not have any query, we'll stop here. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Yes.